an agenda somewhere, or?
Yeah, it's in the chat, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could someone post it to the Gitter chat as well? I have my chat on the iPad, and multitasking there isn't the best thing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thanks.
There you go.
So
Perfect.
So are we using Gitter also at the same time?
Just because the chat is not available on mobile.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it might be worth just quickly reviewing the last meeting. There were some to-do items there. And I know I haven't got mine done. Maybe I'll just quickly run through them, and we can put them in the document if in the agenda if there's anything that's outstanding. So Alexis was going to make a test job work for Joyent Node on the io.js Jenkins. I don't know if you got that far, did you, Alexis?
I did make some progress. So I made the job and I made some changes in Joyent Node so that it runs the same test that it runs now on Joyent Node, given the inputs from io.js CI, and gives back the outputs that io.js CI expects. I sent the link before. I'm gonna paste it in Gitter. With the platforms that pass and fail. So the ones that we currently run on Joyent Node, which is Windows, Ubuntu, and OS X, also pass here. And then we got all the platforms that you added on io.js, and some of them run and some of them don't work. So my question is, what do we want to do about these other platforms that might not have been supported in Joyent Node?
Which ones don't work?
So we got ARM v8 Ubuntu doesn't work. Compiler error. CentOS doesn't work. Tests don't run. Some CentOS 7 passes all tests. And FreeBSD has build errors in v8. And that's about it. All the other ones pass.
You're talking Ubuntu 15.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Which version of Ubuntu is not working?
It was ARM.
Yeah, Michael, I think you have issues with your microphone. I can't hear you too. Or maybe it's an issue with my system. I don't know.
It's definitely my side.
Yeah, I think we just remove ARM from them for now, maybe. Although it might be good to try and get them working at some stage. The one that concerns me is the CentOS 6, because you've got 5 and 7 passing, but not 6, which is weird. And I don't see in the output why that's even.
It's just that tests are not running and there's no output. I can investigate if we think that those should pass.
Yeah, it should pass because it should be straightforward, that one, and it's in heavy use, so in the wild.
So you're saying ARM-v8 is not critical?
I think for now we remove the ARM, all ARM, so ARM v7 and ARM v8 and the Raspberry Pi ones as well, and remove FreeBSD, and I think the rest should pass. Fedora 21, I'm not sure why that doesn't pass.
I can have a look at the FreeBSD ones as well as the CentOS thing, because I think I know what it is.
FreeBSD is v8 build errors.
Yeah, and I did a I did some patching last time we had a similar issue to both SmartOS and FreeBSD. So I'm just gonna go back and look at the patches I did for IO a while ago.
I tried some patching too, but it didn't work. Anyway, we can follow up on Gitter this, but it's good input to know which ones you think should work. And SmartOS should work. Right? It works on Node, joint Node.
Yeah. It might be good to get the ARM ones will be good to get to because I know people are using that. There's a single failure on Windows 2012 and a single failure on
Those are known flaky tests on joint Node, so that's no regression.
Okay.
So, and ARM7 works. I mean, there are a few failures, but at least the infrastructure runs.
Okay, good.
3 and 4 test failures, which we can investigate.
Okay.
Okay, so that's
only 3 failures. That's good. And they're just timeouts, I think. Maybe.
So for the ones that we don't care about that we might want to disable, then I will try to build a configuration matrix. Because right now they're enabled unconditionally, so I will build a matrix, add an axis based on the project, and kind of select each configuration based on the project. Does that sound correct?
Sure, you could do that. You could just remove them as builds, just go to the label section in the Jenkins job and just remove them. But no, do what you think is appropriate there.
Well, I was operating under the assumption that we would merge the jobs into a single job.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, although we're going to need, we're still going to need the separate jobs for. Yeah, no, you're right. I guess.
I will try to unify them, and then if I really hit a wall, I will.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
That sounds really also, the other question is that I'm going to have to port this to V10 as well. Right?
Yes. That will be fun.
Yeah. So I'm not too far.
Okay. Cool.
That's my status update.
Can somebody put a note in the agenda document just with a link to that and the status? I'll keep on reading.
You mean the build with the results?
Yeah, just the things that you walked us through there. If we just capture that in the
I'll write it.
Now, the next thing on there was Michael was going to request machines from IBM, and I know you've made an update on that. Michael, do you want to give us progress on those machines?
Right. So actually, what I focused on this week was trying to get an io.js building from Next. I understand. I got that running, except that there's 6 crypto-related failures on the PVC builds. So I want to figure those out. Once I do that,
I can't hear anything you're saying, Michael. Am I the only one?
No, I can't.
I can't either.
Yeah. You can hear bits of it, but go on.
So basically, that's where I'm at. It's basically, I've been working on the internal builds. Once I get those, then I'm going to go back to.
Okay, so working on the internal builds, and then once you get that working, then you'll work on I think the next branch of io.js you were going to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm using for my next plan.
Okay. Okay, I'm not really hearing. You disappear after a little while there, Michael.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to make my how to make it any better, but basically, I'm working on the next branch currently, and then I'm going to move that over to the conversion. The io.js repo once I get there. Why don't I type it actually?
Okay. Good. Let's move on then, because it sounds like you're making good progress. Johan was going to work on updating the README of the build repo.
Oh, yeah.
We can capture that as an ongoing to-do item.
Yeah, well, let's just say it's ongoing then. I've done a few other things. Yeah, not too much to say about that, unfortunately. I'll add it. I'll prioritize it.
Okay. Flaky tests. Now, Alexis, you did put the. Did you do the node accept pull request thing onto Jenkins?
Not yet. I was working on the first part still.
Oh, okay. No problem. Capture that as an ongoing to do.
Yeah.
And there was the ongoing issues about Windows uncertainty. Johanna, I think we may have stabilized that for the moment, running from command prompt. Yep. I haven't seen those issues pop up again for now.
Last time we had it running for 10 days. So I think we're on. No, we're actually at 2 weeks now, aren't we? Okay, that's great.
You guys do something, or is it just deterministic?
Yeah, so we switched from running it through Windows services to just running it from the command line.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we can consider that being a solved problem then, which would fix 4 of our timeout issues. We have 4 bugs, or bugs for tests that times out. 1 or 3 at 1 minute, which is the test timeout, and then 1 at 47 seconds or something, which is pretty strange, but it's consistent. So I guess I could just sorry.
I was just going to say that we did have a new one pop up, which was something about running out of disk space, even though we had plenty of disk.
Yeah. I think that was. I haven't updated the document. I've been away for a few days, but we had a few new issues introduced when we upgraded libuv, and at least that's when I started seeing the similar errors in terms of like out of disk space, or it didn't specifically say disk, it said storage, and I did some googling around it. I couldn't really say that it was disk because we had tens of gigs available, so it doesn't really make sense. But I know that there was another issue with the libuv upgrade, similarly on like CentOS and FreeBSD and even SmartOS, I think, related to leaking file descriptors. So it might have been related, but I'm going to follow up on that and make sure that everything's all right.
Okay. Now, you did have a gist, wasn't it, that with the details about failures? Do you want to put a link in the doc?
Yeah, it's in there. It isn't linked though. Okay, so if you check the document, there's a link to what I collected that roughly 2 weeks ago and updated it, and Rod helped out as well. and I think the last update is roughly a week old. So there's the way I see it, there's like two groups of issues. There's the one where we had the Windows timeouts, and if we can consider that closed now, that's great. And the other one is, I at least suspect that the other group is like related to buffering or output. So we in the test we assume something is written to standard out, and then we make sure that whatever is written is equal the whatever input we give the test. And for some reasons, we can see how, for instance, new lines are properly written out. So I'm not sure if this is a problem, you know, in how we write the tests, or if it's actually a problem in how standard out is handled in Jenkins, or if it's io.js. But since I've never seen these issues, if I run it, you know, in a command line, I'm just gonna have to guess it's somewhere in between. I know that there was one test, the one all the way down, called test child process standard out flush exit, that was fixed just because of this. But there's still an uncertainty here, and I'm just not sure if Jenkins has issues capturing standard out, or if it's actually io.js producing, having buffer or output issues. And then finally we have a few tests that are very dependent on, for instance, a debugger being run on a port, and if it's already running or if it doesn't exit cleanly, which happened just now actually, then we'll have a lot of failures. So that's why we saw like 200 failures on a machine just now.
Should we? I think about this yesterday. Should we have like a kill-all node, kill-all io.js at the beginning of our test scripts?
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption to do. As long as the problem is that we need to make sure that we're only killing the processes that are run by that Jenkins. So, for instance, on CentOS where we run parallel, even though it's libuv, it can be an issue, if you know what I mean. So we just got to figure out which PIDs we know are safe.
So the IO NEPR multi will run multiple jobs in parallel. Is that right?
No.
No, exactly. It's just a parallel flag, but that doesn't run the tests that assume that a port is available.
Okay, because I was looking at it, I didn't find how you guys prevent simultaneous runs. Assuming that works, so the issue you're having is with hanging processes from the previous run.
Yes.
Yep. And it's very rare. I haven't seen it happen too often either. So I just saw it this morning, so I'm going to have a look at it.
And it's pretty much exclusively related to running the debugger, isn't it?
There's 3 tests that I at least see recurring in on FreeBSD and SmartOS, and that's test listen FD cluster, and then the debug test for that as well. Oh, it's actually just one. Sorry, you're right. So it's one specific test.
Stuff like this can always happen, so it's good to clean up in the beginning of the run. Yes.
If it's just one test, maybe we should put a guard around that one to make sure it cleans itself up.
Yeah, we can even move it from parallel. Just to make sure it doesn't.
It's a type of issue that might recur.
So if I check the standard out on the PS output, I can actually see it being launched out as a parent, as a master, and as a worker. And all of those 3 were lingering. So, like, if that test, for instance, failed, we perhaps didn't catch it. I haven't checked the test, so I can't really say what's going on. But, like, every now and then I see 1 or 2 or 3 lingering processes.
Can I break in for just a sec? I have to go in 5 minutes. This is Forrest. And I dropped a bunch of notes into the agenda, summing up the meeting that Jeremiah St-Peel and Michael Dawson and I had this morning about NPM's integration in there. The only thing that I think needs to actually be discussed for the whole group is progress on the smoke testing stuff that we started assembling last week, and I'm not necessarily sure I even need to be part of that discussion, but I have noted it in the agenda.
Cool. Is there anything that you need from the rest of us to make progress on the make test NPM stuff?
I don't think so. I think we came to a satisfactory resolution.
Great. And so the smoke testing thing is interesting because I know IBM have got their own smoke testing that that we're going to contribute, so that might be worth discussing separately. Actually, one thing for you, Forrest, with the smoke testing thing, running the NPM test suite, there seems to be a couple of flaky tests or tests that just don't like running within a Docker environment. Is that a known thing?
No, and if there are things that are reliably flaking out on Docker, you should file issues on NPM so that we can address them.
Okay, good to know. Okay, thanks for that, Forrest.
Sure thing.
Now, okay, we can move on. I think the secrets and assets management. These were all my issues, and I haven't done them, but I've been thinking about them. I don't know if that counts. Probably doesn't count. So I need to get a spreadsheet with secrets to share with the group. I was also going to, instead of doing a spreadsheet, I was going to do it as a wiki page with the infrastructure so that we can keep that more updated and public. So a wiki page on the build repo, just with a table of all the machines we maintain and details about them, anything that we need to capture there. Then signing keys. I haven't had any progress on this. I don't know what's going on. I know that the foundation, well, we've bought some stuff on behalf of the foundation already, like a Uber conference account. I just think that the foundation doesn't actually have anything in that's... Actually, no, it should have money because it does have people that have signed up. So I need to make sure that that's not lost on their end. So we need to get signing keys. We need to get SSL certs as well for the two main domains. So those things I need to get back to putting some pressure on. So that's still to do. We were going to, the agenda items for this one we pushed, we were going to look at Node Accept PR and the NPM integration stuff, which has been punted off to a separate meeting. So all good. So let's have a look at, is anything that anybody put in the document that we haven't covered yet that you'd like to cover?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Okay, so I just added a note that I wanted to talk about how we can improve the release process. We're usually pretty good at like working towards a release, but every now and then, 2 times now actually, we've found an issue with the release tarball or the release state just shortly after release, and I just wanted to see how we could improve the release process by perhaps adding more jobs to the CI. I know the first issue we had was a makefile issue on Windows that just made the release fail. And the second time around, it was a thing that we could have caught with the tests. So I just wanted to see if you guys had any thoughts on how we could improve it. I guess I could perhaps add a bit more background, but what's been happening essentially is that once we we tag a release and get going, we have a job in the Jenkins environment that creates a binary or a tarball and uploads it. And every now and then we've found issues with the creation of that tarball or binary. And what I'm saying is that we're not running the release procedure unless we're doing a release. So we're not really testing that the release procedure works.
Yeah, I can definitely sympathize with what you're saying, because I've been doing like a lot of releases in the past few months, and it's always a concern to like miss something obvious in the files or elsewhere. So what do you have examples of specific problems that you had in the past with the tarballs and other problems that you just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an issue or two open, and I know the first issue was a makefile problem with Windows that was just tied, or only that part of the makefile was only executed when we ran a release. Okay. So it failed.
Okay, so in that case, it prevented you from doing a release, right?
Yeah, so all the other bots made a successful tarball, but the Windows bots just failed.
Okay.
And the problem there was that we had to bump version. We had to do a patch bump.
Oh, because you had already tagged the release?
Yeah. Because we assumed that it was all good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, but because that code only gets run in release, we missed it.
So it sounds like you might want to add the tag only after you've done all your sanity checks.
So what I usually do, and that's definitely not a solution, is that I tag the release only after I ran some smoke tests on all platforms. But that's definitely not a solution, because all this processing is manual currently. So obviously we would want to go towards a more automatic process, I guess. But yeah, like I guess moving this process after smoke tests have run would probably be a good thing.
Yeah, I would like to find a way of running the release procedure without calling it a release. You know what I mean? The problem is that you will always have parts of logic or structure or code that is run specifically to the release, and I mean that's one part of bit as once. So I just want to find ways of testing that, like decoupling it from the actual uploads or decoupling it from something else that makes it even more robust to run through Jenkins, because most often what's in the release documentation for making a release is essentially, do this, do that, and everything there is sane and looks good. But since the person making the release doesn't really have all the operating systems installed, that person can't really verify that it works in all architectures, just on his.
Yeah, I've been able to do that for all supported platforms for Node, because we only support 4 platforms.
Yeah.
So that's manageable, but in the case of io.js, I guess with ARM and FreeBSD and all other platforms, then it just doesn't scale. Now, we in what you said, I think there might be there are actually maybe two different types of problems, and maybe more. Like, even though your release process would be tested and would be very robust, you might be hit by something like a server that goes down, or something that is independent from the actual code that is run by the release process. And I think there's nothing you can do to avoid that, at least to happen, once in a while. So I guess the process should still be able to work in a way that is acceptable in that case. So that's why I was saying, doing stuff like doing something that is not easily undone, like tagging a release, should probably be done maybe manually, or at least in a different step after some tests have been run. And then obviously you have the process of like testing the changes that you make to the actual release process, and that maybe can be done with I don't know. One idea would be to do that during the release candidates process. So like if we had release candidates, we could make improvements to the release process and then test it during these release candidates, and then use these improvements to do the actual release. So what I see is two different types of problems, like testing changes to the release process, and then also being more ready to handle the problems that can happen anytime when doing any release. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure it does. Like the current situation is a bit of a catch-22 because we have assumptions in both Jenkins and the Makefile in terms of when can we run a release? For instance, we have the header file which we mark as this is a release, and the tag is pretty much part of that. Of course, we can delay the tag, but if we don't tag the commit, we can't run a release on that. So I think if we're gonna improve that process, we might have to do some shuffling in the Makefile to decouple how the Makefile determines if we can do a release or not, and then perhaps even decouple the actual Jenkins process further as well. So we have this kind of midway stop where it signals back and says, hey, everything looks good, and then it doesn't run part 2 until every bot has returned like, okay, I'm ready to go. Perhaps I'm not sure, but if you could perhaps have a quick look and
Yeah, and also like what I've been doing for the past few releases is that instead of using the reference repo like Giant/Node, I'm using my repository to do anything that needs to be done on Git, like creating the release branch, creating the tag, and all that is pushed only to my repo, and then the job that is on Jenkins uses my repo, and then when everything looks good, then I just need to push the release branch and release tag to Giant/Node. So we could also use some kind of staging between two repositories. It doesn't have to be a personal repository, but we could use that concept of staging also the changes that are made to the Git repo when doing a release. That could provide some buffer and maybe make the process more robust. I don't know. So yeah, definitely, I think there is some room for improvements, and we could probably discuss that outside of the meeting, because that could be a long discussion.
Yeah, sure. That's a good point, though. We could do the quick feedback here before moving on. We could just add a branch for releases where we where we run the Jenkins job before actually doing the release, and that way we can actually put a tag on there or a different user, as you say.
The only problem is if you're going to use tags, like the release tags, is the Jenkins slaves can get confused about what tag. Like if it knows that a tag exists and it's got a ref for that already, then that can't change. Like if you tag v 2.0.1 whatever, then that's your tag. It doesn't matter which repo it's from. You have to assume that Jenkins is going to get confused at some point if you try and have the same tag on different repos. Yeah,
so from what I understand, you cannot start a release process without a tag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that would be the right order to do things, but there's probably a good reason why you did that. Currently in Giant/Node, we tag the repo after the release is done. So yeah, maybe exploring that option of changing the order of operations could be a solution. But yeah, like I said, there's probably a good reason why you need a tag for the release.
We did it that way for the Jenkins workflow, but we need to remove a lot of the logic out of Jenkins, and that would probably be a good thing to do. I think this is something that I'm going to capture this in documents because we definitely need to do this tag after build, and that gives us the opportunity to rebuild if need be.
Yeah,
that would solve some of our problems.
The problem, I mean, not the problem, but the thing to keep in mind though is that, like, for instance, what I do is when I do a release is that I upload the files to the normal like distribution directory on Node.js.org, and as soon as you do that, like NVM and other Node version management programs start to pick up the new versions, and then removing these versions or changing them then can be a problem. So we probably need to like evaluate what would be a good way to stage release files, and I think that you are actually doing it right now in io.js. Like you have some staging process.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So in your case, it might not be a problem, but it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, the person doing the release has to actually say, "Yep, we're ready to release these files."
Okay, so that could also be
keep building them. Yeah,
that could be done in the same step as the Git tagging, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Okay, that's some good thoughts there. Is there anything else we need to cover?
Well, so that's not necessarily like anything groundbreaking, but I started documenting the CI platform for Giant Node, and also the release process. It's currently in the wiki. I can paste the link to the later. Let me just do that. So there's this page. There's this one, and release guide, which is here. And until now, I've been until now, there's been only usually one person doing releases, and the problem is that obviously it's a bottleneck for the project. And my goal is to be able to basically allow anyone interested in doing releases to be able to do them. So we'll need more documentation around releases, and we'll probably need more automation also. So I guess that's going to be interesting to you too, to like maybe see how we do releases. Could be interesting also as an example on about how we document it, and we could probably help each other, like making the documentation better for the building process, the release process, and then maybe like helping each other to have some ideas on how to automate things and how to delegate the release build process. So basically, if you could take a look at it, and maybe it's a work in progress, but if you're interested in knowing more about how we do releases, and also if you're interested in actually participating in doing these releases, then you're more than welcome.
Is the plan still to port this this infrastructure away from Jenkins.node.js.org and into io.js?
Yeah, that can also be used to do that. I mean, with these documents, then it becomes easier for anyone doing that work to understand, like what needs to be done, basically. So yeah, I just wanted to give you an heads up.
This is good information.
My plan is to finish it like today, and at the latest this week. So should be complete by that time. Also, like you mentioned, like keys management and secrets management. I'm definitely interested in what you guys are going to do, because we're gonna need that too. So, and obviously,
the current plan was simply to use a shared Google document that's shared amongst only those who should have access. But if there are better suggestions, we can go with that. But this is that's what I've used in the past for different secrets management stuff. We touched on this last time, that we don't have shared secrets for most of the Unixes that we have in CI, so they're just SSH keys for the individuals. But we could move to a situation where it's like there is one SSH key that you should have to get you into certain boxes. We'll have to think about the best way to do that.
How do you provide authenticated access to Windows boxes? Do you have an SSH tunnel running?
No, so we're using, because we're using Rackspace, we just have remote desktop, and we have a shared password that we...
Okay, yeah. All
right. For FreeBSD, and eventually it will be OS X as well, we have a VPN we have to get into to get to them first. And similarly with the ARM V8 machine, there's the jump host we have to get to for that. But I'll document that, and hopefully be able to show you documentation this time next week.
So currently the release process is fairly manual, and even if we port the current Node.js CI platform to the current io.js one, it's going to take a fair bit of manual intervention to do releases. And as I said, I'm currently the only person to do that now. But I was wondering if anyone would be interested to help with that too. So I'm not sure how to best reach out to people, but I thought that I would first mention it in that group, and then see how we can reach out to other people.
That'd be great. What I might do actually, we do have release documentation in the io.js about how to do a release, but some of the mechanics are not documented there. There's stuff that might be interesting for the Node.js releases, where the way we enable multiple people doing releases. So we do it in a way that doesn't require giving them full access to everything.
Okay.
So, and it goes into this staging process as well. So it's all scripted, where you run the release script on your machine, and it uses SSH to do the various things like running the staging promotion script, and also signing the SHA-SUMS file. That might be interesting, because and that stuff's all available in the build repo as well. The tooling there, so we can reuse that.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I'll put that on my list actually to do, because that will be good to document in a single place.
And maybe if you can send me an email just to point me to these specific things in your build process, that would be great too.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay, I think we've got plenty of action items for most of us. We're still making progress on things from last week. Anything else we're going to cover before we close the meeting?
No,
Christian, do you have anything to add?
No, nothing to add from me.
Sorry, Johan, were you saying something?
I'm just scrolling back in the Gitter chat. I recall there was something, but it's apparently not important enough. So, no, it's all good.
Okay. Well,
I do have a question. Would it be possible to add another collaborator to this working group, or so that I can get some extra help on the Windows side.
Yeah, that would be excellent.
Okay, I'll send you the information over Twitter or email.
Cool, that'd be great. The more Windows help we can get, the better, I reckon.
Absolutely.
So I guess, yeah, we're officially participating in this build working group then.
Great.
I'm just looking at the team now and adding people to it. Julian and Alexis are not on there. Hans Christian, what's your GitHub username? It's escaping me right now.
I'll just enter it in the chat here.
Cool. All right. Okay, good.
Was CentOS 6 that failed for the new Node.js repo, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have a look.
The link to the failure is in the document, so it's run number 4.
Oh, there we are. Perfect.
Okay, let's wrap it up, and I can go and do my morning things. Okay. So we'll do this again next week. Hopefully the invite is everybody's got that, and we'll just use that.
Yeah. So we're keeping this time slot permanent.
It works for me.
So.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. And if anyone else wants to be added to the calendar invite, just let me know, and I will put up a link to a new Hangouts on Air for next week when we get closer to it. We might start a new issue rather than continuing in the same issue.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.